Okay, we're going to go ahead and start now. Welcome to the commercial appeal, and thanks for coming. This is the editorial endorsement interview for District 1, which includes Fraser and other parts of North Memphis. And the incumbent in this race, Sherman Greer, said he could not make it. He had a conflict today, so I wanted to make sure people knew why we only have 2 candidates, there are 3 in the race. So I'm going to start with the same question we start with all the races, and that is, why are you running, and what do you hope to do if elected? And I'm going to start with Don Bonner.
Okay. As you stated, my name is Dawn Bonner, and what I hope to do as a member of City Council is to bring more of a change to District 1. I was born and raised in Raleigh Fraser. I went to Raleigh High School, and when I transitioned back to Raleigh after moving to East Memphis, I saw that it kind of seemed to have faded rather than progressed, rather than to see a economic splurge that seemed more so as though things had gotten worse. And I just want to be an advocate, as I have in East Memphis, to the city that raised me and nurtured me. I have a 7-year-old daughter, and the last thing I want is for things to be worse when she becomes an adult. So that's not just towards school and education, that's towards public safety, that's towards economic development, that's towards seeing the city grow and just be a better Memphis. So.
Ms. Logan, same question.
Good morning, I'm Rhonda Logan, and as you said earlier, I'm running for City Council District 1, which is Raleigh, Fraser, and Cordova.
Oh, okay, cool.
3134 area as well. But I am running because I am already serving the area. I feel the people of the district need representation that's going to be responsive to them, that's going to make sure that there's someone that's listening to them and answering their concerns and working on their behalf, to be an advocate for them. I also, as I said, have been working in the community for some time now as the executive director of the Raleigh CDC. And what goes for Raleigh, there are similarities throughout the district. And the things that I've done for Raleigh, I'd like to be able to expand those things throughout the district in improving community engagement, working on small businesses, working with the schools, the police, the faith-based community, and just pulling the community and activating the community around improving itself. And that's why I would like to.
Great. I want to start off just with a general topic of economic development. You all both sort of mentioned that, and you're of course, Ms. Logan, on the board of the Raleigh CDC. So I'm going to start with you, and each question I'd like both of you to have an opportunity to answer. If you don't want to answer, that's fine, but I'm going to give you both opportunity. So this first question on economic development: what are ways you think Memphis should go about jump-starting economic development, particularly in the areas you would represent? And I'll specifically talk about Fraser and Raleigh, not so much Cordova, because that's better developed. So what are some of the methods you've used? What are some of the tools you've used? And do you think the methods we're already using now are adequate?
I would like to see more engagement with our small businesses. I feel the small business community as well as entrepreneurship is untapped in those areas. So I'd like to maybe things like the Epicenter and other organizations that we could collaborate with and bring more attention and resources and support for small businesses. Also, there are a number of projects that are going on in particularly Raleigh and Fraser right now to spark that. I'd like to see more incentives, tax incentives for the area, maybe look at tips and different opportunities for that area. But the main thing is sparking the small business community. There are great broad strokes in bringing large projects, but I think we need to bring the small business along because they're the heartbeat of our communities.
Don, same question. If you need me to repeat it, I can always repeat a question.
Sure.
Repeat it. So the question is a very specific one to Raleigh and Fraser. What are some of the development tools you think need to be used to jumpstart investment, jumpstart business development in those areas? And then how would you evaluate what's being done now throughout the city to bring more investment to those communities?
This is what I can say, is that Memphis has a lot of resources available and that are out there. I just feel like the Bible says that people perish because of lack of knowledge. So we have to go out into the community and have more of a hands-on in giving these resources to people. For instance, it's at 555 Bill Street, there is a business center that people can go and they'll assist with the business plan. And that's for people that even have the thought or idea to be an entrepreneur. But you see people on Facebook saying, where can I go to get this? That's a free service that the city already provides. And it's a lot of other organizations out there that already do that. I see where they're going to take Austin P and eventually turn it into a space that can better Raleigh. But there's a lot of other spaces out there that can be done that. She mentioned, Ms. Logan mentioned the tips. That would be a great opportunity to go ahead and try to get some revenue to where we can make the city flourish in that area, in that district, because Fraser and Raleigh, as you said, they don't look as prosperous as Cordova, and that's because we haven't invested as much, but we have to get the revenue from somewhere, even if it's private funds, or not just reaching out towards the taxpayers, but there's also other funding available out there, and all you have to do is ask. But if you don't even take the time to apply for the grant or apply for the Plow Foundation's funding, then you won't receive it. So I just feel like those are resources that we can always extend ourselves to.
What do you think of the pilots? Or should we stay on course? Should we modify the program? Scrap pilots?
I feel that pilots are a good thing. They're great for the city. My main concern, and I'm a proponent for oversight, what they bring to the city is very valuable, but there has to be oversight, accountability, and transparency as we move forward with those.
Is there not enough transparency now?
Pardon me?
There's not enough transparency now.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I just always feel we can always do better.
If you look at this, the kind of stand on topic of economic development, the housing development now, if you look at Raleigh and Fraser, you've had some success, particularly in Fraser, but also by Raleigh too, doing infill housing renovation and some development through the CDCs, both yours as well as the one Steve Lockwood was involved in Fraser. Are those models that with more funding from philanthropy, Juventus, and the Paul Foundation and others, that they could do even more than they're doing now? Because you have a lot of room for growth on housing from driving through both areas.
Money answers all things. So of course, more money that would give us opportunity to touch and be able to assist more people. So when you ask that question, of course, if we had more funding, we'd be able to help more people.
Anything you would do, and I'm coming to you in a minute for the same question, Rhonda, Ms. Logan, anything you would do as a city councilwoman to make that happen, to sort of jumpstart that process?
I already, to answer your question, yes, I would have a more hands-on approach towards seeing exactly how we're going about getting the funding, because that's what I do at my church and for the other organizations that I assist behind the scenes, even if it's something that's not for my church per se. If I know of somebody that needs the money, I tell them grants that I've ran across while I was looking for grants for the different 501(c)(3)s that I assist. So like when I mentioned the Plow Foundation and their concept letters, I'm serious about that. So of course I take a more hands-on approach to seeing what revenue we can get for district.
Ms. Logan, same question about housing. I can repeat it. The issue of housing is, of course, a big one in both Raleigh and Fraser, and yet you've had some success on renovation and development of housing, some infill in both areas. What could you do as councilwoman to expand that effort, to improve that effort? Because there's a lot of room for growth.
Exactly. I also work with Steve Lockwood, and they're doing an exceptional job in that area. Fraser, and both areas have similarities, but there are grave differences as well, in that Raleigh has a lot more seasoned communities that are still intact and that have a great number of homeowners in the area. I think the approach that's being taken in Fraser is the right approach to have more stock, to bring more stock to the community, and I would make certain that we stay on that trajectory to bring more stock. As well as in Raleigh, there needs to be more funding available for current homeowners to improve, to renovate, to repair, to upgrade. There are a lot of type of infrastructure things that need to happen as well. So as city council person, knowing the areas is important to move both areas forward, because one approach will not work for both areas. But I do like the way that it's going, and I will continue that, working with all of the elected officials in the area to come up with a holistic plan in housing and in economic development across the board.
I want to turn now to crime and safety. Big topic throughout the city, and I think particularly in your areas, I would imagine too. And the question is, Memphis is on pace this year to have more than 200 homicides. That's below its record-breaking number of 2016, but it's still a worrisomely high number, high figure. What can you as a council member do to improve, to sort of reverse those violent crime trends and improve safety in your community? Anything you can do as a council person? I'll start with you, since we just finished with you. Start with you, that's fine.
So with crime and safety, what I have seemed to see in the other council meetings is that people say that the use of the sky cops assists in lowering crime rate, and I feel like that I would be a big advocate towards putting out more surveillance opportunities for police to see what's going on, because I know myself when I'm driving down the street and I see that blue flashing light and I forget that I just drove past a sky cop, it alerts me, okay, there is the presence of the Memphis Police Department. And also, I feel like things such as the neighborhood watch are not used as best as they should be. I went to one meeting and it was like approximately 6 people in there. I felt like if there was more of a community presence, if there were more people that are stakeholders in the community there, we can keep a better eye on what's going on. And I understand that poverty plays a lot with just crime itself. So fixing poverty and fixing surveillance, increasing the number of police officers out there, all of that will play a role in keeping us on a reduced crime that we do.
Ms. Logan, same question? If you need me to repeat it, I can repeat it.
Oh, no, it's okay. I agree with Ms. Bonner in terms of the sky cops. I was so grateful to hear that our county commission is looking at, the county commissioners getting those for their individual areas, and I think that is very important for us to do that. But I also feel that juvenile crime is up, particularly for first offenders, based on the reports that are out, and it's going to take all of us to come together to create the wraparound services for the youth and to make certain that there is economic opportunities for them, and the services that they need in terms of summer jobs, mentorship, and these types of things. In order for us to curb adult crime, we need to start with the youth and making certain that there are services there for them that will mitigate them from continuing on to adult crime. I also agree that neighborhood watch groups, neighborhood associations, and just citizen activation all together, engaging the residents, getting the communities involved in policing and community policing. We all have to bear the burden of this and come with solutions. It's not magic dust that's going to make everything go away, but we all have to take an active role in making sure that we're doing our part. We know our neighbors, that we're connecting with our neighbors. We're engaged in after school programs, volunteering in our schools and in our communities, walking, talking to our neighbors, noticing what's going on, see something, say something, and do something. So activating at the neighborhood level and making sure there's representation, whether it's HOAs or neighborhood associations for all communities, as well as cameras, is going to be really important in bringing the economic opportunities to the communities, as well as addressing the mental health issues and the homelessness in our communities. A lot of times we deal with Band-Aids, but we have to really get serious about the homeless problem, as well as how we are addressing our mental health community, mental illness and mental health community. Things such as the CITs in our police precinct is very important. So it's a holistic problem. It's going to take a holistic approach with everyone doing their part.
You both touched on aspects of my next question. Poverty, you touched on mental health and homelessness. So I'm going to ask this question, and I'll start again with Ms. Bonner first. Memphis has a nearly 39% poverty level among children, one of the highest in the nation. And it also has a quarter of its city residents living in poverty. As a council member, how would you seek to reverse those numbers and to begin to address generational poverty?
Oh my God, generational poverty. You mentioned 39% of the children being in poverty or being in homelessness. And I was reading a study that it shows that no county in the United States has minimum wage where people can actually afford their housing, livable, the minimum wage. So that would be addressing the poverty issue. And just homelessness alone is so much more than the children, because the children and the adults. And for instance, I ended up taking a gentleman to the Memphis Union Mission on Wednesday because he had nowhere to stay. He was living in his backyard and he texted the pastor. So this is a real epidemic. People don't understand how serious it is, because I'm actually a program coordinator at the Jesus People Church Emergency Shelter, and Michael partners with a lot of different organizations. And the thing is that the problem is so big that MICA has the funding to assist people with rapid housing and with other things, but in order to be able to even get the access to it, to even be able to participate in rapid housing, you have to have somewhere to stay to get you until you can transition from homelessness to being independent. So that's what we provide, is somewhere for you to stay until you can get everything you need in order to get this service. But it's so many people out there. It's thousands of children. It's thousands of men and women, men that don't have kids that can't even use this resource. So it has to bring about funding and bring about awareness to the problem, because simply because people have somewhere to live doesn't mean they're not homeless, because you can have people living uncomfortably, like 2 families to a house, to a 1-bedroom, to a 2-bedroom, because they're having to come together as a community and just be able to at least have shelter, which is a necessity for living. So I kind of forgot what the question was, but I know it was about.
I think you hit most of the key points. I'll repeat it when we get to the next question. If you want to come back, I'll give both of you a chance to come back, because it's a big question. So I will give both of you a chance to come back.
I'm just passionate about helping.
You have an option. So I'll repeat the question again. The question is, Memphis has a 39% poverty level among children, and also high level of homelessness that you point out. It also has a quarter of its residents who live in poverty. As a member of council, how would you seek to reverse those numbers and begin to address generational poverty? So I'm going to go to Ms. Logan. I'm going to give both of you a chance to come back if you want. Go ahead.
Okay, and your question was pretty much posed around children and youth in poverty, even
Yes.
though you did reference adults, but I'm going to address it for the children and generational poverty. One thing, my approach would be to support education and funding. I feel it's important that we all take a hands-on approach in our education system, because we want to make certain that our children know how to read, know how to think, know how to be disciplined even. So I think it's very important that we all have a hands-on approach with education, and that includes, as a council member, I support us being supporters of public schools. Number 2 is training. At the middle school, high school level, making certain that there are options for our youth that may not be college bound, but may want to attend a two-year college or technology, pursue technology. We need to look at offering more opportunities in the STEM field and robotics or AI, just broadening our base in that regard, making more opportunities for training and trade in our community. Even at a elementary level, age-appropriate programming that will give the students options. Third, I look at workforce development in adults as well, because a lot of, it is generational poverty. So making sure that there are options in that regard will pretty much address the poverty in youth. And when you look at poverty, as my colleague mentioned, it's so vast and broad. There's a lot of mental health issues in poverty, and providing those wraparound services and stability would provide a level of stability that could help youth and families come out of poverty, dealing and addressing ACEs, dealing and addressing the mental ills that sometimes keep adults from maintaining a job or seeking a job or being job ready, whether it's through the opioid or just drugs in general, or substance abuse and other alternatives that are used. So in addressing the poverty in children and youth, I would agree that there's not one thing that's going to be an answer, but it is layered, in those areas that I mentioned are areas that I would tackle.
This is a quick sidelight. If you want to further your answer, you can. Okay, you're fine. Okay, so I'll move on to the next question if you want to.
Ms. Bonner, regarding pilots, do you think the program should be amended or scrapped?
Scrap? No. I think that the use and the idea of pilots is outstanding. What I hate to see is people that are taking advantage of pilots. And not to mention, for instance, there was someone that did an interview not too long ago where they were saying that there were some companies that weren't paying the small amount that they were supposed to pay. Mm-hmm. So when you have organizations out there that are getting these type of incentives and they're not doing their end of the bargain, or not bringing about the amount of jobs that they say that they're going to bring, this hurting the city of Memphis more than it is helping. So I do feel like Ms. Logan stated, there needs to be some type of there needs to be someone in position to make sure that they're doing what they're saying they're going to do, and that there is transparency and that is working for the benefit of the city of Memphis.
Thank you.
Let's move on to education for a minute. The council and the council members have no direct influence over the Shelby County schools, and yet both of you talk about education as a key issue, improving education. You mentioned AI, you mentioned technological advancements. How do you have impact on the educational achievement of this city through the Shelby County schools as a council member? What do you do? What do you say? What can you do? I'll start with you.
I know we don't have direct and hands-on. However, I do feel that there should be support of through funding for the school system. And to say, for instance, in my particular district, and my approach would be to ensure that there's alignment between the school board commissioners, the city council person, the city council member, state rep, as well as county commission. And if we do that in each area and we're aligned and we all have a plan that is comprehensive for the area, making sure that those needs are met in our local schools. And all of the council members doing that and supporting our schools is key. Even though we don't have a direct hand in, we do indirectly all serve our communities and should have a relationship of such in each district.
Ms. Bonner, same question.
As you stated, Memphis really has no direct hand in what goes on in Shelby County schools, and that doesn't stop us from, each child that goes to Shelby County schools is, if they live in Memphis, they go to Shelby County School, but they're a Memphis child, so they should receive Memphis support. They should receive Memphis funding. They should receive Memphis programs that even expand outside of Shelby County that are offered to both Memphis and Shelby County students, because these are the people that are going to grow up and be our leaders and our doctors. So we have to take a vested interest. We have to at least request. The least we can do is ask to be able to have some type of communication, some type of voice in how we can assist. And sometimes you do have to provide funds for that. So we can't get anywhere if we just allow us to not have a voice, not have a say in how we can assist them. And I can't see why money wouldn't be an incentive towards that. How it's even as simple as having just a board of people that come together to figure out how we can do programming, to have a group that has a say in how everything is going. Because when you have Shelby County just representing themselves, and even though we're in the background and our students are being affected, we're kind of like voiceless. So that leads it to the people that we vote into position. So I can't see how having more voices or having more people to give their viewpoint would hinder anything. It would just be able to make it better.
My next question, and actually the last of my questions, maybe to the closing part of this, involves the topic of leadership and governance. As a council member, you would be part of a council that oversees a wide variety of operations, employment, kind of oversight of MLGW, funding mechanisms for a range of boards and commissions. And you work with, of course, the mayor of Memphis, the mayor of Shelby County, the commissioner of Shelby County, and other counties. How would you approach that part of your job? What would be your leadership style? What would be the way you would want to use that hope that you have in city council to impact change in the community through your leadership? It's a broad question, but I'll start with you, Ms. Logan.
Okay, I am a consensus builder, and that would be my approach. It's going to take all 7 votes, all the votes to get things done. So working together to move Memphis forward is most important. We all come representing our districts and the areas that we serve. However, ultimately, we're all moving Memphis forward, and I think that's very important. As I said, I'm the executive director of the Raleigh CDC. My former position was director of operations for a faith-based organization here for a church in the area, which I did with a large budget, and dealing with those types of entities, nonprofits, and you have to make certain that you have the tools to move different boards and processes forward. So I feel that it's really important for us to look at it that way. My approach would be, though I'm representing, and that's first and foremost, we all have to work together to move the city forward.
Ms. Bond, same question.
As a member of City Council for District 1, those are would be my constituents. My job would be to make sure that I give a voice to the people that live in that area, that I represent their interests, but also the interests of Memphis as a whole. Because sometimes when there is lack of communication or lack of actually knowing the benefits of something, sometimes even the people that live there cannot have a full understanding of how a ordinance or something can improve their living. For instance, there was a case where in Whitehaven, they did not want Waste Connections to get an expansion because they didn't like the word expansions. That would mean in their mind that people were bringing more trash, and this is just going to make it smell worse when Waste Connections is already right there. If you were, instead of trying to fight them, trying to compromise with them instead and ask the city council to vote yes, then in that scenario, you could then sit down with Waste Connections and communicate in order for everything to get approved. But when there isn't proper communication as a city council member to the people that live out there, when you have an opportunity to go out there and talk to the people that live in their residence, then you're not doing your job and you're not able to properly hear the voices of the people. So when you're working with other council members and trying to plead the case, you also have to listen and make sure that everybody's aware of what's going on. And when you're dealing with the mayor and the other Shelby County mayor and Memphis mayor, the thing is to listen, have an ear to hear, but also stand for something. Stand for what's best for the community. You can't just vote because it's easy. You can't just agree with people because it's the easy route. You have to do what's best and plead your case and know that the reason I made this choice is because it's what's best for the city and best for the people that I represent. So sometimes you're not going to agree with everybody. So I just want to do the right thing.
Any other questions?
No, that's fine.
Okay. So I have a final question. This is your chance to give a closing statement. And since I started with you, Ms. Bonner, on the first question, I'll start with Ms. Logan on this one. The question is, what have you learned about yourself and the city you want to represent during this campaign? Oh, you had a lot of coffee and pound cake and other sorts of fun things. What did you learn?
Well, as I said, my role as the CDC, Raleigh CDC Executive Director, also I am President of Friends of Kennedy Park, which is an advocacy group for Kennedy Park, and that's a 260-acre park in Raleigh. I am also the coordinator for the Raleigh PJA, which is Police Joint Agency. So working with public agencies, with code enforcement, the police department, public works, I work with them on a regular basis. And what I've learned is the work that I've already been doing, been called to do, and is the work that's needed in our areas, and particularly having this seat is going to expand that capacity. Having this seat will give me the tools that I need for serving at a greater capacity across this district. And so moving across the district, I've learned that the people in our community, though we are often labeled the worst city of this and this and that, the people in our city love the city. They want to see the city improve. They want to see their position in life, the quality of life improve. And that's what I want to give them. I've learned that whether it's the lady in Cordova that is concerned about her neighborhood, or in Fraser, they're concerned about their neighborhood. So throughout the city we have similar concerns, and I've learned that what I do and my call to do it is going to be needed throughout the city. And I'm grateful for the opportunity. This is something that you just don't choose to do. This is something that you have to have a made-up mind to do, and you have to have the ability to be tenacious in doing it. So I am grateful that I'm having this opportunity. I've learned that what I'm already doing now is what I want to continue to do, even throughout with this seat.
Ms. Bonner, same question.
To start off, what I learned about myself, I love helping people, even when it's behind the scenes, even when my face isn't in the limelight. I just love helping people achieve their dreams or to progress. And I've done that in the Jesus People Church aspect and the other nonprofits that I work with the Love Debutante program that I'm a founder for, just being able to take an idea of bringing somebody up and actually implement it. It's like a passion, like it's in my heart. It brings me joy, just being able to go out there behind the scenes. I was a real estate agent for 8 years, so once I stopped doing that and I focused on trying to get other people houses without it even putting money in my pocket. I stopped doing real estate, but I started assisting people get counseling so that they can be able to get a house, even though in no way did it bring money to me. It was just pleasurable to be able to sit there and say, okay, when I met this person, they had bad credit, and now they're at a point where they can go out and get the home of their dreams or the home for their family. I enjoy doing things like that. I enjoy finding grants and different things just to be able to make the community better. And it hasn't been as for Raleigh and Fraser as much as I like it. A lot of things that I do are based in Hickory Hill, but I offer it to everyone. When I did the Love Program, it wasn't just for Jesus People Church member. I paid for, out my pocket, for advertisements so that I could get as many girls in there as possible, because I felt like just enriching their aspect on how to be a lady. That's what Love Program stands for, Ladies of Virtue Excel. Just to be able to put them in an environment where they can grow and see something that they would not have been able to without being in the program. It was so many girls that came up to me, and so many mothers, so many parents that were like, I appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule to have this idea and then implement it. I loved it. I enjoy just being able to be a part of it, and I want to be more hands-on. I don't want to sit back and wait. I want to do it now. I don't want to say, you know what, this isn't a good year, I have a lot of things on the plate. No, you make time for what you want to. You invest in what you want to, and I want to invest in this. I want to invest in my city. I want to invest in Fraser more so because the house that I grew up in, 4299 Millcrest Code, is still our house. So when the opportunity for me to live back there was presented to myself, I drove back through there and I was like, oh my goodness, this is my daughter's son. Like, I remember growing up in this house and the neighborhood has gotten worse, but it's like, it was kind of disheartening to me. So I feel like, okay, if you don't talk about it unless you plan on fixing it. So I want to be the fix for it. I want to take what I've been doing out in Hickory Hill and bring it over to Raleigh Fraser area because I'm North Memphis raised.
North Memphis born, North Memphis bred, and when I die, I'll be North Memphis. Yeah, I heard that. So thank you a lot for your time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. We'll edit that part out, by the way. But I heard that from several people in North Memphis. North Memphis bred, North
Well,
Memphis
you know that
born.
campaign we're doing, I am North Memphis.
Okay. Rhonda?
Thank you all so much.